Hey guys, tonight we begin in the shadows. Not the elegant, dramatic kind, no. These are the muddy, rat-filled alley shadows that cling to the stone walls of medieval cities like stale breath. You're not a noble knight or a romantic rogue. You're a hired blade in a crusty wool cloak that hasn't been washed since your cousin's plague funeral. The only stealth you've mastered so far is how to walk without stepping in something that used to be alive. You're a medieval assassin, and spoiler alert, it kind of sucks. You wake in a cramped room over a butcher shop. The smell is a mix of dried blood-damp straw and a distinct whiff of regret. You don't own a bed. You sleep on a burlap sack filled with barley husks. It pokes you in every place you'd rather it didn't. Outside bells ring for morning prayer, not that you're invited. Assassins don't exactly get invited to things. Your knees crack when you stand. That's normal. You're 29, but you feel 70. You slept fully clothed boots, and all because taking them off risks someone stealing them while you sleep. You stretch, sort of. There's no training session today, no sparring lesson from a grizzled master with a mysterious past. That only happens in scrolls and stories. Real training. That's yesterday's job you barely survived. You were told the target was an easy drunk. He turned out to be a former guard with a limp and a sword under his bed. You got lucky, and you limped home with a dislocated shoulder, one less throwing knife, and a bruised ego the size of France. But at least the coin purse jingled when you tossed it on the floor. That was something. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You crouch to splash cold water from a cracked jug onto your face. It wakes you, sort of. There's no soap, just a rough cloth that was once beige, now somewhere between mud and defeat. Your cloak smells like old potatoes and stale smoke. You grab it anyway. You're supposed to look like you belong in the crowd. Problem is you don't. You're too quiet, too cautious. You watch people's hands. You scan rooftops. You walk like you're always half prepared to run. That makes you suspicious even in cities where people carry knives just to buy cheese. The market is loud today. Vendors yell about fish that look like they died twice. Bakers wave stale bread. Children throw rocks at geese, and the geese scream like they know every secret ever whispered in the kingdom. You pass through, unseen mostly, but not invisible, never invisible. You get to the inn where your contact said to meet. You knock the way he told you twice, pause once. The door creaks open. A woman stares at you. She's not impressed. You're not the first assassin she's seen today. Inside the room is warm and smells of stew. That's rare. You allow yourself a moment near the hearth. Just one. Then she hands you a scrap of parchment. It's damp at the edges. There's a name on it barely legible. You recognize it. Of course you do. It's always someone important enough to have guards, but not important enough to matter if they disappear. You nod. She doesn't smile. No one does in this business. You leave. Back out through the market. Someone bumps into you. You check your coin pouch. Still there. You're impressed briefly. You blend into the crowd again. No one calls your name. That's a good sign. You head toward the outer quarter, where your target keeps a mistress and a second home. It's always the second home. Fewer guards, fewer questions, more shadows. You arrive just before sundown. Perfect. The house is 2 stories of timber and risk. You find a place to wait, behind a cart that smells like fermented cabbage. You crouch there unmoving for what feels like 2 hours. Your knees hate you. Your back sings a song of complaint. But you wait, because that's the job. People think assassination is fast. It's not. It's waiting. And then more waiting. And then a mistake. And then maybe you die. But if you're lucky and very quiet, maybe you don't. The door finally opens. A man stumbles out. He's drunk. That's not your target. Another follows. You recognize him. That's him. You move. Not fast, not slow. Just enough. You reach him in the dark between lamplight. You grab, pull. He struggles, but he's more surprised than anything. Your dagger presses just under the ribs. It's not clean, it's not quiet, but it's done. You disappear before the scream finishes. You don't run, you melt or try to. You take back streets, alleys, jump a fence. You fall, twist your ankle. You curse quietly. You limp home. The pouch of coins on your belt is heavy, but so is everything else. You reach your room, close the door, fall onto the sack. Tomorrow you'll hurt. Tonight you just breathe. You're not a shadow. You're not a ghost. You're a tired, bruised, possibly bleeding man with a dangerous profession and no plan for retirement. You laugh once, then go still. The floor creaks. You don't move. You listen. Only rats. You exhale and dream of being someone with a quieter job, like a gravedigger or a chimney sweep, or literally anything else. You wake up to the sound of a bell ringing in the distance, not a pleasant chime, not the kind that calls you to prayer or breakfast. No, this bell clangs like someone dropped it down a stairwell. It says nothing except, you're still alive, and even that feels a bit presumptuous. Your eyes open slowly, your back protests immediately, so do your shoulders, your thighs, your ankle, and possibly your liver. You shift on the thin layer of straw you call a bed. It crunches under you like dry leaves, only less romantic and more likely to contain insects. You lie there for a while, staring at the ceiling, which isn't really a ceiling so much as wooden beams coated in soot and old spider webs that have formed an architectural alliance. Your arm is asleep. Your foot is not. Your foot is angry. You sit up carefully like someone recovering from being trampled by a slow, considerate horse. Every joint clicks. Your spine makes a sound like old rope being untied. You don't speak. There's no one to speak to. Your room is exactly the same as it was last night, small cold, and entirely yours in the same way a prison cell is entirely yours. You stretch your arms, not because you're about to fight someone, just because if you don't, you may never straighten again. You look down at your tunic. It smells like onions and sweat. You sniff it, regret that, pull it off, shake it out, put it back on. You splash your face with the last of the water from a clay jug you found behind the butcher's shop 3 days ago. It tastes like tin, but it's wet and that's enough. Your boots take effort. They always do. The left one fights more than the right. You suspect it holds a grudge from the night you kicked open that stable door in Tournai. You step outside. It's barely light. The mist hugs the cobblestones like it knows all your secrets. Your breath clouds as you exhale slow and steady. Not because you're cold, because you're trying to remind yourself that you exist. You walk without looking like you're in a hurry. That's rule number 1, don't look like anything. Not like a thief. Not like a noble. Not like someone worth remembering. You pass a bread stall. The woman behind it eyes you suspiciously. You nod. She doesn't nod back. You keep walking. Breakfast will be whatever you find or whatever finds you. You make your way to the tavern. It's early enough that only the quiet ones are there. Gamblers who lost everything but a hangover old men who never sleep, and the one bard who's tuning his lute like it wronged him personally. You sit in your usual corner, near the wall, back covered, hands visible, always. The tavern smells like smoke and yeast and despair with a hint of rosemary from last night's stew. Someone must have overachieved in the kitchen. You tap your knuckles on the table once. A woman appears. She doesn't ask what you want. She knows weak ale, brown bread. The kind of breakfast that doesn't taste like much but won't try to kill you either. You nod. She walks away. You adjust your cloak, shift your weight, scan the room without moving your head. That's rule number 2, don't be obvious. Your food arrives. It looks exactly as expected, wet grey and vaguely warm. You eat anyway, because you'll need your strength. Not for another assassination. Not yet. But for walking, waiting, lifting things, dodging questions, maybe climbing a wall or two. And for breathing. Sometimes that's the hardest part. You finish the bread. Leave the crust. It's harder than your boots. You drink the ale slowly. Let it sit in your belly. Let it fill the space where anxiety usually lives. The barkeep grunts in your direction. You grunt back. Conversation over. You leave 2 coins on the table. 1 real, 1 shaved. Let them figure it out. You step outside again. The mist has lifted. Sort of. The sky is pale like watered down milk. You walk down the back alley where the rats are friendlier than the people. Your contact said noon. But noon in this business means any time between sunup and whenever they remember you exist. So you walk, observe, count doorways, note which ones have new locks, which ones are open slightly too wide. You arrive at the well, the meeting spot, always the well, because everyone uses it and no one pays attention. You sit, tilt your head just enough to see both sides of the street. You wait. That's rule number 3, get used to waiting. Your contact arrives 40 minutes later. He doesn't look at you. He drops a scrap of paper near the well, then walks away. You pick it up after he's gone. It's damp, smudged. Of course, the name is barely legible, but you know it, and you sigh, because you've met this name before. And it didn't go well. You stuff the paper into your boot. You walk the long way around, passing the tannery. Regret that. Pass the fishmonger instead. Regret that too. Everything smells like something that used to breathe. You get to the address. It's a workshop, busy, no windows, only a back door. You lean on a barrel, watch the workers come and go. Your ankle still throbs. You shift your weight. You cough once casually. The man you're watching comes out around dusk. He walks alone. He heads for the outskirts. You follow, slowly, carefully. He turns down an alley. You speed up. You catch up behind him. Your dagger is in your hand before he even knows you're there, but you don't strike yet, because something's wrong. He's smiling, and you realize too late he's not alone. The man turns. Another steps behind you. A trap. Of course. You fight. Poorly. You get cut. Not deep, but enough. You throw a pouch of ash into the air and run. Back toward the square, back toward the people. You limp, you bleed, you survive. Just barely. You lose your coin purse. You keep your life. You count that as a win. You return to your room well after dark. You patch yourself up with vinegar and bad words. You lie back on your mat, your side aches. Your pride hurts worse. You stare at the ceiling and ask yourself, again, why but you already know? Because this is the only thing you're good at. Because it's too late to start over. Because somewhere along the line you forgot how to do anything else. You close your eyes and dream of being a baker or a shoemaker, or someone who gets to sit in the sun without watching their back. You wake up to a dull ache behind your left eye. The kind that tells you your head slept at the wrong angle, that your neck curled in on itself sometime during the night, that the mat beneath you, already thin and fraying, has shifted again to reveal the stone underneath. You open your eyes just a crack. Light leaks in through the shutter, which doesn't fully close. It never has. You told yourself you'd fix it 2 seasons ago. You didn't. And now it talks to the wind every morning, creaking with every change in air pressure like a man whispering to himself in his sleep. You blink, then blink again. The ache doesn't go away. You sit up slowly, using one arm to steady yourself, the other to push away the blanket that never covered quite enough of you to be useful. Your back is tight. Your ribs feel misaligned. You rotate your shoulders. There's a click you didn't authorize. You reach for the small jug of water at your side. It's not cold, but it's wet. You drink half, then splash a little on your face. It wakes you, but not in the refreshing way, more like a slap from a damp cloth left too long near the hearth. You sigh, then stretch your legs out one at a time. Your right ankle is stiff. Your left knee is swollen. Your back. You stand. It's less graceful than you'd like. The room is still as bare as ever. One stool, one mat, a shelf with a knife you don't use anymore, and a pouch with coins that wouldn't buy you a new bootlace. You touch the knife on the shelf anyway, not because you need it, just because you need to know it's still there. You dress in silence. Same tunic, same cloak, same boots. Everything smells faintly of wood smoke, dried blood and thyme. You pull your belt tight, slide your short blade into the sheath, check the pouch of coins, 3 silvers, 6 coppers, 1 broken charm. You keep the charm. You don't remember where it came from, but throwing it away feels like a mistake you don't want to make. You exit quietly, not sneaking, just careful. You're always careful now. It's the only reason you're still breathing. Outside, the air is damp. The stones are slick. The morning fog lingers low, clinging to the ground like it's trying not to be noticed. You walk with your hands loose at your sides, palms open, knives hidden. Nothing in your posture says assassin. Just another man heading nowhere in particular. You make your way toward the docks, not because you have business there, but because it's the kind of place where people like you can blend in. Labourers, sailors, thieves, traders with eyes like rats and teeth like chipped pottery. You pass a man selling eels from a barrel. The eels are barely dead. Their bodies twitch when the knife slides too close. You keep walking. Further down, a woman is yelling about turnips. You ignore her. You stop at a bakery not to buy, just to stand near the oven's heat. Your fingers are cold and you like the smell of bread. For a moment you pretend you're just a tired man on his way to nowhere in particular. You lean against the wall until the baker eyes you suspiciously. Then you move on. You arrive at the edge of the merchant quarter and take your usual seat beneath the broken statue of someone no one remembers. The base is cracked. The figure's head is missing. Just a pair of stone feet and a faint inscription that says something about loyalty and wisdom. You sit, wait, watch, always watching. Today you're looking for someone. Not to kill. Not yet. Just to track. Your employer says she stole something valuable. You weren't told what. You weren't told why. Only that she moves between taverns near the edge of the city and never sleeps in the same place twice. You wait. The sun rises higher. The fog thins. The street grows louder. A cart breaks a wheel nearby. People curse. You stay still. Eventually you see her. She walks quickly like someone who learned to move before questions start. She carries a satchel too small to matter but too tight against her body to be empty. She doesn't look around. That tells you everything. Amateurs always think not looking makes them blend in. You follow, not closely, 2 turns behind. Sometimes 3. She ducks into a side alley. You count to 20, then follow. The alley is empty. A cat runs past. A window creaks, but she's gone. You smile. Not because you're impressed, because she's better than you thought. You double back, check the next street. Nothing. You find a wall and climb it slowly. Your shoulder screams, but you do it anyway. From the rooftop, you see her 2 streets away, walking faster now, heading toward the old granary. You know that place. You know the back way in. You climb down carefully, walk slowly. Your knees hurt, but you keep going. By the time you reach the granary, she's inside. You don't enter right away. You wait. You breathe. You press your hand to the knife at your belt. Then you knock, just once. Then open the door. She's there, waiting, and pointing a blade at you. You raise your hands. She doesn't speak. Neither do you. For a long moment, the only sound is the wind through the broken roof. Then she lowers the knife. You nod. She leaves through the back. You don't follow. The job is done. You were never meant to catch her, only to find her. You sit on the floor for a while. Let your joints rest. Let your heart stop racing. You stare at a sack of grain that's been chewed through by mice. Then you leave. Back through the alleys, back past the statue, back to the place that smells like turnips and eels and old smoke. You reach your room, open the door, step inside. You sit on your mat, pull off your boots, flex your fingers, then lie down. You stare at the ceiling. You breathe. You close your eyes. Tomorrow maybe you'll have to run again. Tonight you rest, because you earned it, even if no one says so. You wake up to the sound of church bells, not the elegant echoing kind you hear in paintings. No, this one clangs like someone dropped a frying pan down a stone tower. It's distant, uneven, and thoroughly annoying. You blink. Your eyes are dry. Your mouth tastes like old leather soaked in vinegar. Your back reminds you it's still angry about yesterday's rooftop moment. You're lying halfway off your mat, one leg tangled in your cloak, your arm trapped beneath your ribs. It takes a minute to untangle yourself. You sit up, regret it. Then sit up again, slower this time. Your spine lets out a long, reluctant series of cracks like a row of stubborn floorboards. Finally giving into time, you stretch your neck. It pops twice. You look down at your hands. One's got a fresh scrape from a loose stone. The other has dried blood on the knuckle. You don't remember from what. Could be yours. Could be not. You stand. Eventually. Your right ankle doesn't like that idea. Neither does your left shoulder, but they don't get a vote. You splash water on your face from the jug in the corner. It's cold and slightly cloudy. You don't care. You've had worse in fancier places. The room is exactly as you left it, dark, damp, a small pile of coins hidden under a cracked floor tile, and a faint smell of mildew that might now be part of your personality. You check your pouch. Still light. You check your knife. Still sharp. You pull your cloak tight. It's colder today. Wind sneaks in through the shutter cracks like a guilty rumour. You exit into the alley. The stones are wet. The rats are already awake. You walk toward the centre of the city, sticking to the quieter routes. You know the tavern you need, the one where the contact is supposed to meet you. It's never a cheerful place, but it serves warm broth and doesn't ask questions. You nod at the woman behind the counter. She gives you a look that says you again. You sit in your usual corner, away from the fire, near the back door. The table rocks. You press your boot against one leg to keep it still. A man drops a bowl of something that might be soup in front of you. It's brown, thick, and smells like regret. You eat it anyway, because warm is warm. Halfway through the bowl, someone slides into the seat across from you. You don't look up, not yet. He clears his throat, twice, like he's rehearsed this. You glance at him. Young, too clean. He's sweating. You finish your soup, then raise an eyebrow. He slides a small envelope across the table. No name, no seal, no payment. Of course not. You open it. One word. A name. Familiar. You've heard it whispered before, not fondly, the kind of name that gets people nervous in hallways. You nod, slide the envelope into your belt. He gets up and leaves without another word. You sit there for a while. Finish the soup, drink the last of the ale. You pay with a chipped silver coin and watch to make sure they don't check it too closely. They don't. You exit the tavern the back way. The streets are getting louder now. Merchants barking about salt and glass and roosters. Children chasing dogs that don't want to be chased. A man yelling about firewood as if the world depends on it. You avoid it all. Slip into the shadowed alleys where things are quieter, where people nod, not talk. You make your way to the north side of the city. Richer homes, cleaner corners, more guards. Your target has a second house here. Always the second house. Fewer servants, fewer eyes, more secrets. You spend the afternoon watching. From a rooftop first, then from a stall selling dried herbs. You pose as a merchant's helper for a while. No one notices. You watch her exit the building around dusk. She's not alone. One guard, maybe two more nearby. She wears a cloak embroidered in silver bold choice. You follow from a distance, not too close, not too slow. She turns left. You turn right, then circle behind. You meet her again near the candle shop. This time she's alone. You move. Quick. Not rushed. Just enough. You bump into her shoulder, slip the folded paper into her hand. She stiffens, but keeps walking. You vanish into a doorway. That was the message. She'll come to the old mill house tonight, alone if she's smart, with blades if she's smarter. You return to your room, sharpen your knives, clean your boots, eat something that tastes like boiled turnip, change your bandage, wait. The moon rises. You leave. The path to the mill is familiar. You know every stone, every bush, every creaky board. You arrive first. Of course, you sit near the broken wheel. Let the sound of the river fill your ears. She arrives late, alone, no guards, smart. You speak first. She listens. You tell her the price. She doesn't flinch. She hands you a small pouch. You weigh it in your hand. Acceptable. She turns to leave, then stops. You don't ask why she says. You don't answer. You never do. You watch her go, then disappear into the trees. No blades tonight, no blood, just names, just coin. You return to your room, open the pouch, count the silver. More than expected. You smile, briefly, then hide it beneath the tile. You sit on your mat, stare at your hands, the calluses, the small cuts, the faint scar near your thumb. All of it earned, slowly, painfully. You lie down, pull the cloak over your shoulders, close your eyes. Tomorrow might be different, but it probably won't. And that's fine, because for tonight you have coin in your pouch, your blood still in your veins and no one knocking at your door. You wake before the sky changes, no colour, no birds yet. Just the faintest shift in air pressure, the kind that makes the shutter creak ever so slightly, and tells your body it's almost time to get up even if your bones don't want to. You stay still for a moment. Your eyes don't open, but your mind starts moving. The list starts running on its own, coin pouch blades, cloak root contact. You breathe in slow and steady like that'll make the list shorter. It doesn't. You roll to your side. The mat beneath you makes a soft sound. You've slept on it long enough that it knows your shape, your habits, your silences. Your hip aches today. Not sharp, not serious. Just there like it's politely reminding you that you fell from a roof last week and didn't land like a young man. You sit up, carefully. You rub your face. Your palms feel rough. There's a fresh scratch on your knuckle, probably from the latch behind the tavern. You forgot to wrap it. You forgot a lot of things yesterday, but that's all right, you're still here. You light the small stub of a candle, enough to see, not enough to draw attention. You splash a little water from the jug onto your face. It's cold metallic and smells like it's been sitting too long in clay. You wash anyway. Routine matters more than comfort. You dry your hands on a piece of cloth you tore from a ruined tunic 3 jobs ago. It's stained with oil. Still works. You move slowly as you dress. Undershirt first, then tunic, belt, cloak. You check your boots still wet from last night's rain. You slide in 2 thin knives, one at each ankle, then one in your belt loop, then one under the collar, flat and narrow. Overkill. Probably. But you've never once regretted being over-prepared. You dig beneath the loose floorboard again. Your coin pouch is still there. You count 8 silvers, 12 coppers, and the strange foreign coin with a hole in the middle. You don't know where it's from. You keep it anyway. It feels lucky. You rise cloak over one shoulder. Today's not a rest day. It's a work day. Not the violent kind yet. Today's the negotiation kind. You open the shutter just enough to see the street. The baker's fire is already going. You can smell it faintly. Bread and smoke and something sweet. You'll walk past, but you won't buy anything. Not yet. You step out into the morning. The sky is pale blue with clouds hovering like half-formed ideas. Your boots hit the ground with a sound that says, "I'm here, but don't look at me." That's exactly what you want. You take the long way around to the square, past the tannery, past the well, past the old statue of a man with no nose and no legacy. You stop near the alley where the meat sellers throw out the scraps. The cats know you. They don't hiss anymore. One rubs against your leg. You toss it a bone from your pouch. It disappears under a cart. You keep walking. The contact said to meet near the eastern wall. Second courtyard from the end. A cracked bench under a crooked olive tree. You arrive 10 minutes early. You sit. Palms on your knees, back straight. Eyes soft, not sharp, not hunting, just waiting. People pass. No one stops. No one stares. Perfect. Eventually a man appears. Grey cloak, broad shoulders, walks like someone used to giving orders and used to being ignored. He sits beside you, leaves a small folded parchment on the bench, doesn't speak. You nod. He waits a beat, then says, "His name is Alric." You know the name. A minor noble, big mouth, small brain. The kind that offends the wrong people and doesn't notice until it's far too late. The kind that hires guards not because he's important, but because he knows he's not. You slide the paper into your sleeve. No reaction. The man stands, leaves a coin pouch beside your foot, then walks away. You don't pick it up right away. You tie your boot, then rise, then slip it into your cloak pocket. You weigh it briefly. Maybe 10 silvers. Good enough. You move back through the alleys, toward the western edge of the city. You know Alric's routine. He visits the brothel on 3rd Lane every 4th day, always in the afternoon, always drunk, always escorted by 2 men who look strong but walk like they're paid by the hour. You find a spot above the alley behind the brothel, old beams, soft roof tiles. You crouch there motionless, watching, waiting. The sun rises higher. Voices rise with it. Then finally, there he is, loud, unsteady, bragging about something no one cares about. The guards trail behind him like tired dogs. He enters through the front. You wait. You always wait. After an hour, he exits. Alone. That's strange. You shift lean forward, check the angle. One guard is missing. The other is talking to someone around the corner. Alric walks straight into the alley. You move, drop from the roof without a sound, blade in your hand before your feet hit the ground. He turns, doesn't even scream, just says wait too late. You grab him by the collar, shove him against the wall, blade at his throat. He gurgles, fumbles for a coin pouch. You don't want his money. You want his silence. You whisper, "You insulted the wrong man." He nods frantically. You let him go. No blood today, just fear. The message was clear: scare him but leave him breathing. You vanish before he can blink twice. Back over the wall, into the shadows. You run until your lungs burn, then walk, then stop, then breathe. You sit on a crate near the dye vats. The smell is horrible, but the air is thick and no one bothers you here. You count the coins again. Still 10 silvers. You close your eyes. You should feel something: pride, regret, relief. But all you feel is tired. You walk back to your room before sundown. Light a candle, boil water, wash your hands with a cloth, clean your boots, sharpen your knives, then lie down. You stare at the ceiling, then at your hands, then back at the ceiling. Tomorrow someone else will want someone dead, or scared, or ruined. And you'll get up again. You always do. Because this isn't about the coin anymore, this is just what you do. You wake up to silence. Not the sharp, dangerous kind that comes before something bad. The slow, dull kind that wraps around you like fog, thick enough to slow your thoughts, thin enough to let you know it won't last. You don't move yet. You just breathe. In, out. You count 4 full breaths before your eyes even open. Then you blink. Once. Then again. The light is soft this morning, filtered through the thin curtain that barely holds to the window frame. One nail loose, the other bent. It sways slightly in the breeze, tapping the wood with a rhythm you've come to know well. You sit up slowly. Your back groans. Your knees click. But nothing protests loud enough to stop you. You reach for the pitcher beside your mat and pour what little water's left into a clay cup. It tastes faintly like ash and tin. Still, you drink it. Because hydration matters more than flavour, and because this might be the last still moment you get all week. You stretch your arms out until your shoulders pop. You take it as a good sign, a reminder that you're still held together. Mostly. You reach under the floorboard for your pouch. It's still there. The weight feels the same. You count anyway. 8 silvers, 10 coppers, 1 bronze coin from a southern port city whose name you've forgotten, but whose shape fits perfectly against your thumb. You roll it across your fingers like a priest with a rosary. No reason, just habit. You get dressed slowly. There's no rush today, no job, no client, no letter under the door or whisper in the alley, nothing. And that's rare and suspicious. You tug on your tunic, run your hand along the stitching to make sure it's still holding. You check your boot soles, intact laces uneven. 1 knife goes in the right boot, 1 tucked at your waist, 1 small blade pressed flat between your shoulder blades. Not because you expect trouble, but because the day you don't prepare is the day you don't come home. You step outside into the chill. It smells like rain, though the sky is still clear. The cobblestones are dry, but the breeze carries moisture like a warning. You keep your hood low, not to hide, just to avoid being remembered. You walk east, toward the dye market, not for anything urgent, just for motion. Moving keeps your thoughts from wandering too far down corridors you don't want to reopen. You pass the bakery. It's open. The air smells like honey and rising dough. You pause, consider, then step inside. The woman behind the counter glances up, then back down. She doesn't ask your name. You don't ask hers. You place 2 coppers on the counter. She slides a warm roll toward you. No words exchanged, just heat between 2 people who've known each other long enough not to need conversation. You step outside again, eat the roll slowly. It's soft in the centre, crunchy on the outside. Just enough sweetness to remind you of better things, or worse ones. You sit on the edge of a dry fountain near the old temple ruins. The statue there is half gone, just a hand reaching skyward from a cracked pedestal. No one remembers who it was. Maybe a king, maybe a saint, maybe someone who thought reaching up was safer than staying grounded. You finish your bread, wipe your fingers on your cloak, then watch the city move. A boy chases a dog. A cart full of onions breaks a wheel. A woman drops a basket and swears so creatively it makes 2 old men near the gate laugh. You stay there longer than usual, because the longer you sit, the more invisible you become. And today, being invisible feels restful, not strategic, just quiet. Around midday, you walk to the edge of the river. Not many people go there unless they have to. Too muddy, too open, too many memories. But the wind is clean there, and you like the way the water never stops, even when the world above it seems frozen. You find your usual spot, a flat stone half buried near the reeds. You sit, pull your hood back, let the sun hit your face for the first time in days. You take off your gloves and dip your hands into the cold river. You hold them there until the sting becomes a hum, then pull them out. The skin turns pale, then pink. You flex your fingers. Still yours, still working, still enough. You lie back on the stone cloak folded beneath your head. Your boots rest against the grass, and for the first time in what feels like a year, you let yourself breathe without counting. You stare at the sky, watch the clouds move, let your thoughts drift to the edge of nothing. No strategy, no regrets, no plans, just the sound of birds overhead and the hush of water against earth. Eventually your stomach reminds you of time. You rise, brush off your cloak, head back toward the market. Not for coin, not for messages, just for something warm. You find a vendor with a pot of stew that smells like garlic and hope. You pay, eat standing, let the broth fill the quiet inside your ribs. You thank her with a nod. She nods back. By the time you return to your street, the sky has begun to change. A soft orange glow settles on the rooftops like fire without heat. You reach your door, unlock it, enter. You sit on the edge of your mat. Pull off your boots, your socks are damp, you'll hang them tonight. Maybe patch that tear near the heel. You pour a little more water into the cup. Drink, then rinse your hands, then your face. You check your knives, all still there, all still sharp. You lie down. And for the first time in a long while, you don't fall asleep thinking about names or contracts or blood. You just fall asleep as a man in a room on a quiet day that asked nothing from him. And for once he had nothing to give. You wake to the sound of rain, not a storm, not thunder, just the slow, steady kind that taps on rooftops like someone gently knocking to see if you're still alive. You don't open your eyes right away. You just lie there, listening to the rhythm, to the softness, to the absence of anything else. No shouting, no bells, no footsteps, just the rain falling like it's been falling forever. You shift slightly. Your shoulder complains. Your knee feels tight. Nothing new, nothing urgent. You turn your head toward the wall and there it is, the faint scent of damp plaster and old wood. That particular perfume of a room that's seen too much and asked for too little. You open your eyes. The room is dim, not because it's early, because the clouds outside have closed the sun behind them. Your one window is fogged up water tracing slow, crooked lines across the glass like the city is weeping but doing it politely. You sit up. Your blanket slides off your chest and pools in your lap. The air bites your skin, not harshly, but with the cold kind of honesty that makes you wonder if winter's coming early. You rub your eyes, run your fingers through your hair. Feel the stiffness in your neck crack once, then twice. Then you stand, bare feet on cold floor. You move toward the pitcher, pour half a cup. It tastes of minerals and something faintly metallic, but it's not the worst thing you've swallowed this year. You throw on your tunic, check your boots, still damp from yesterday. You shrug and slide into them anyway. Wool socks. Thin, but better than nothing. You pull your cloak from the peg by the door, it's heavier now. Rain has seeped into the seams, you sling it over your shoulders, check your knife. Still sharp, still clean, still hidden, just in case. Not because you expect trouble, but because it has a habit of arriving when you don't. You step outside. The city greets you with puddles. Carts trudge through the muck like resigned animals. Men haul crates through wet alleys, heads down, shoulders hunched. A woman yells something about onions from beneath a soaked shawl. You nod at her. She ignores you, as it should be. You walk slow today. There's nowhere to be. No job waiting. No name whispered. Just a strange silence inside your skull that feels like peace. No, not quite peace. Just an absence of noise, which is close enough. You stop at the baker's. He's inside, stoking the oven steam rising off his arms like he's a god from some forgotten myth. He sees you, raises one eyebrow. You raise 2 fingers. He nods. You leave 3 coppers on the sill. He tosses you a roll wrapped in cloth. It's warm, softer than expected. You tuck it into your cloak and keep walking. Your destination today isn't a tavern, not an alley, not a gate, just a quiet shed near the orchard wall far from the city's hum. You pass through streets where no one knows your name, where windows stay shut and dogs sleep through everything. You reach the orchard just as the rain softens. The trees look sleepy, drooping under the weight of too much water and too few hands to tend them. The shed is there, tucked behind the last row, still standing, still leaning slightly to the left like it's trying to listen to something underground. You knock once, then twice, then wait. The door creaks open. A man looks out, older, bearded, smells faintly of wood resin and moss. He doesn't smile, but he opens the door wider. You step in. The air is warmer here. There's a kettle on a brazier. Steam curls toward the ceiling. You sit on a stool made from a barrel. He pours 2 cups. You accept one without a word. He says you look worse than usual. You sip. Rain does that, you reply. He chuckles, low and dry. You sit there in silence for a while, the kind of silence that only old friends or old killers can share without needing to fill it. He eventually says, "Work slow." You nod. He doesn't press, doesn't ask for names or cities or details. He knows better. You sip again. The tea is bitter, but warm. You let it fill the space behind your ribs. Then finally you say, "I think someone's watching me." He leans back. His chair creaks like a tired bone. "Someone always is," he says. You nod. Let that truth settle. He doesn't offer advice, doesn't offer help. He just refills your cup and says, "I had a dream about knives." You raise an eyebrow. Whose hands, you ask. He shrugs. Didn't see. You both sip again. The rain returns, harder this time, pounding the roof like it's trying to say something. You both ignore it. Eventually he stands, says nothing, just moves toward the shelf in the back. He returns with a bundle wrapped in leather, places it on the table, pushes it toward you. You unwrap it. Inside, a short blade curved at the tip. Simple, efficient, yours. You left it with him months ago after a job went bad and the guards got too curious. You nod. He nods. No thanks needed. You wrap the blade again and tuck it into your pack. Then rise. The rain hasn't stopped, but the clouds have shifted. You step out into the orchard. Let the drops fall against your hood. Let the cold run down your sleeves. You walk the long way home. No rush, no route, just motion. The city is quieter than usual. You like it that way. You pass the fountain, still broken, still beautiful in its ruin. You pause there, eat the roll, still warm, still good, the best thing you've tasted in weeks. You wipe your hands on your cloak. Keep walking. Back through the alleys, past the shutter that never closes, past the child who stares too much, past the woman with the cart of broken pottery. You reach your door, unlock it, step inside, hang your cloak, remove your boots, sit on the floor, back straight, breath even, blade in your lap. You don't clean it, don't polish it, you just hold it. Let the weight remind you who you are, and why quiet days like this are rare, and why they never last. But for now the rain is enough. You wake up slower today. Your body lets you. The room is silent except for the creak of the shutter shifting in the breeze. No bells, no boots stomping down the alley, no urgent fists against the door. You lie there for a moment, listening, breathing, wondering if the silence is real or just the kind that comes before everything goes wrong. You sit up, not with the speed of a man in danger, but with the tired grace of someone who's learned that danger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it waits. You stretch your legs, testing each muscle. They answer you stiff but not angry. Your neck cracks once when you tilt your head. A familiar sound. You rub your hand across your face, then through your hair. Dry. Cool. Smells faintly of smoke from the night before. The candle burned down to a stub while you slept. You dress without urgency, but with precision. Tunic on first, then the inner wrap you use to press 2 flat blades against your lower back. One left, one right, mirrored, boots, tightened twice, double knots, cloak, hood, pouch. You check the floorboard. The coins are untouched, but you count them anyway. Still 8 silvers, 10 coppers, the strange foreign coin with the hole in the middle, and a small iron nail wrapped in twine. You don't remember why you kept the nail. You only know that throwing it away feels like asking for trouble. You slide everything back into place. Stand. The room feels smaller today. Not in space, but in stillness. You step outside. It's not raining anymore, but the street is wet. The puddles catch the dull grey sky and wear it like a tired mirror. You head toward the market. Not for food, not for work, for information. You pass a boy selling paper birds. He's yelling, but no one's buying. You slip him a copper just to make him stop looking at you. He bows, too deeply. You walk on. You stop at a baker's stall, not for bread, to see who else is buying it. The woman behind the stall meets your eyes for a second too long. Not enough to confirm, just enough to suspect. You leave before she speaks. The crowd thickens. You flow with it, then pull away near the south wall, where the old fountain cracked 2 winters ago and was never fixed. There's a bench beside it. Stone, worn, one corner missing. You sit, wait. You're not here to be seen. You're here to be found. And sure enough, after 10 minutes he appears. The whisperer. The one with the teeth too white for his profession. And a face you can't quite remember even when you're staring at it. He doesn't sit, just passes behind you, drops a folded piece of parchment on the bench beside your hand, then walks on. No words, no nod. You wait until he turns the corner. Then you pick it up. The parchment is damp edges curled slightly. You unfold it with one hand, the other still resting on your knee. 3 names, one is familiar. You saw it once carved into the frame of a private carriage painted over in red. One is strange. You mouth it silently. Tastes like trouble. One is dangerous. Very dangerous. You fold the paper again, slide it into your belt, then stand. You walk the long way home. Always the long way. Always a loop. You double back twice. Pause beneath a balcony. Check your reflection in a puddle. Not for vanity. For shadows. For movement behind you. There's none. That worries you more. You pass a man selling dried apples. You nod. He doesn't nod back. That's a good sign. You step into a side alley, empty, smells like oil and damp rope. You sit on a wooden crate, not to rest, to think. 3 names, 1 week. Big purse. The whisperer's exact words, which means someone important wants them gone, or scared, or silent. You rub your temples, breathe deep, then head back. The door to your room sticks a little when you open it. You'll fix it later. You close it softly behind you, then bolt it. Twice. You sit, lay the folded paper on the mat before you, stare at it. Names have weight, some heavier than others. These 3, they tilt the room slightly. You boil water, drop in a few crushed leaves from the satchel you bought 3 days ago, good for the nerves, the seller said. You let it steep. Let the steam fill the room. Let the scent remind you of the time before you did this work. Back when your name didn't mean anything to anyone. You drink slowly, then unwrap your blades. Check the edges, no nicks, no rust. They gleam in the candlelight even through the haze of steam. You touch each hilt with your fingertips. Whisper a name, then another, then the last. Just to hear how they sound in your mouth. You wrap the knives again, place them beside your boots, then lie back. Not to sleep, not yet, just to breathe, just to let the names settle. Tomorrow you'll pick one, you don't know which, but one of them ends first, not because you want it, because that's what you're paid for, and you're tired of quiet. You choose the first name, not because it's easier, not because it feels right, just because it came first, and sometimes that's reason enough. You stare at the folded parchment for a long time before moving. The ink has smudged along the edge. You can still make it out. Barely. You say the name aloud once, just once. Not loud enough to echo, just loud enough to remind yourself it's real. Then you rise. No need to rush. You've done this before. Too many times, maybe. You go through your checks. Pouch secure. Blades sharpened. Cloak patched and waxed at the seams. You touch the wall as you leave your room, fingers brushing the wood grain, like it might be the last time, or maybe just for luck. The sky outside is bruised purple, fading into grey. The rain hasn't returned, but the clouds haven't left either. They hang overhead like witnesses, silent and heavy. You make your way to the lower end of the city. The streets there run tighter, narrower, more shadows, fewer questions. You blend in with the others, dock workers heading home, women selling dried herbs from beneath awnings, old men playing dice on overturned barrels. You stop near the square, not in the middle, off to the side. There's a fabric vendor with too many bolts of cloth and not enough customers. You ask for something in red. She hands you green. You hand it back. She tries again, brown this time. You nod. She slides a folded scrap beneath the fabric as she hands it to you. You thank her. She says nothing. You walk away with the cloth folded over your arm like it belongs to you. You turn 2 corners, find a quiet doorway, open the fabric, read the note tucked inside. 3rd floor, green shutters, south-facing window, alone after dusk. You don't recognize the address, but you know the building. You've seen it before once or twice from a distance. It leans ever so slightly like it's tired of standing but too stubborn to collapse. You fold the note and tuck it into your sleeve, then walk, not directly there, not yet. You spend the afternoon circling. You pass by the building 3 times from 3 angles. You count the windows, check the shutters, watch for guards. See none. That's strange, but not alarming. You map your exits. 2 alleys, 1 rooftop, a sewer grate you'd rather not use. You return home before dark. Boil water. Sharpen your smallest blade again, even though it's already sharp. Ritual more than need. You run your thumb along the edge and feel the way the air catches. Still good. You change clothes. Nothing too dark, just enough to blend. You coat the bottom of your boots with ash and oil to kill the squeak of worn leather. You tie your belt twice, then you wait. Because every good job begins with waiting. Dusk comes slowly. The shadows stretch like they're reaching for something just out of view. You step out again as the sun disappears. The streets are quieter now. Not silent, but calmer. You head toward the building. No cloak this time. Too loose. Too loud. Just your tunic, your boots, and the blades that know their place. You arrive at the back wall. Check the drain pipe, still solid, still climbable. You take a breath, then climb. 1 foot, then the other. You don't rush. You've done this before. The pipe shifts once under your weight but holds. Your fingers find the grooves in the mortar like they were made for you. You reach the 3rd floor, the shutters are closed, but not latched. That tells you something. He's home. You wait. 1 minute, then 5, then 15. The light behind the shutter dims slightly, then flickers, then goes out. Now. You slide the shutter gently. No creak. Thank the rain. You slip inside. Feet silent on the wooden floor, the room is warm. Smells faintly of parchment wine and burned oil. He's there, seated at a desk, writing. He doesn't turn. You step closer, blade in hand. He speaks, quiet, measured. I wondered how long it would take. You pause, not surprised, not startled, just curious. He turns his head slightly. You see the edge of his face in profile, lined pale calm. They never send the same man twice, he says. Then, after a moment, but I knew they'd send you eventually. You don't answer. You don't need to. He looks back to his parchment, signs something at the bottom, then pushes it aside. He says, do it quickly. You move. 1 step. 2. The blade rests just beneath his ribs. You wait for the breath, then slide it in. Clean. Precise. He exhales once, not a gasp, just a sigh, then stillness. You lower him gently against the table. His head rests beside the parchment. You glance at it. A letter, addressed to someone you've never heard of. You don't read it. You're not paid to read. You wipe the blade on the curtain, slide it back into its sheath, then leave. Same way you came, down the pipe, into the night. The street welcomes you back like it never noticed you left. You walk, not fast, not slow, just steady. Back through alleys, past doorways, past the man selling chestnuts who always forgets your face. You return to your room. Wash your hands, change your shirt, boil water again. You clean the blade until it shines, then tuck it under your mat. You sit. Let the silence find you. Let the name leave you. You don't write it down. You don't say it again. You don't need to. It's finished. 1 name down, 2 remain. You wake up in the hour before dawn when the sky is still pretending to be night, and the city hasn't remembered it has to start moving again. There is no sound but your own breath. No footsteps on the stairs. No scratch at the window. Just you, the mat beneath you, and the second name quiet and patient, still waiting to be answered. You sit up slowly. Your joints complain, but only faintly. Your body has accepted this life, even if your mind still flinches sometimes. You splash your face with water from the jug. Cold, bitter, necessary. You light the candle. The small orange glow expands just enough to remind the shadows that they are not in charge. You unfold the parchment again. Second name. 3 syllables. Sharp. Foreign. You whisper it just to hear how it sounds against your teeth. It does not soften. You memorize the shape of the letters, then burn the parchment in a small bowl and stir the ashes until they disappear into grey dust. You eat nothing. Drink nothing. Your stomach has already turned away from the idea of appetite. You get dressed. Today is a day for clean lines. Nothing loose. Nothing noisy. Nothing that would catch on a nail or betray your presence with a flap in the wind. You check each blade, 3 this time, 1 curved, 1 straight, 1 narrow enough to hide in your sleeve, all sharp. You oil the hinges of the window before you leave just in case, then slip out into the waking city. The sky's pale, the clouds low. It will rain again, maybe not soon, but soon enough to matter. You make your way to the southern quarter. The buildings here lean toward one another like old conspirators. The shutters hang crooked. The stones underfoot are slick with yesterday's drizzle. You find the bookbinder's shop just as a delivery cart pulls away. A man in an apron locks the lower door, 2nd floor above him, just as the note said. No guards, no noise. 1 small open window with pale green curtains fluttering like forgotten flags. You walk past it, then circle around. You take a seat at a broken bench near a fountain that doesn't work anymore. You wait. You observe. The room above stays quiet. Once the curtain shifts, once the light dims, but no movement. You pull your hood lower. Let the rain begin. It starts small, then grows heavier. The street clears. Only vendors remain those too stubborn or too poor to walk away from bad weather. You stand, cross the street again, slip into the alley behind the shop. You wait there, listen. Nothing but the patter of water and the soft creak of signs swaying above your head. You begin your climb, one hand here, foot there, a jutting brick, a rotted beam, a prayer whispered out of habit, not belief. You reach the second floor, balance on the ledge, check the window, still open, still unguarded. You slip inside, feet silent on the wooden floor. You pause, let your eyes adjust. The room is warmer than expected. It smells like ink and boiled herbs. He is there, sitting at a small desk, not reading, not writing, just waiting. He doesn't turn, but he speaks, softly, like a priest in a dying cathedral. I wondered if it would be you. You say nothing. He turns his head slightly, just enough for you to see the edge of his face. Young. Too young for this, but his eyes are older than yours. You won't make it to the third name, he says. Not a threat, a fact. He gestures to the chair opposite him. You don't sit. You never sit. But you listen. He nods. I left them, he says. I thought leaving would be enough. You take one step closer. I thought that if I burn the name, he continues, it would stop meaning something. Another step. He closes his eyes. I was wrong. You move fast. Silent, precise. The blade enters beneath the ribs, angled upward. He doesn't scream. He exhales. One breath, long, shallow. You hold him there for a second, then lower him gently to the floor. His eyes are open. You close them. His hand rests on the sheet of paper. It's blank. You fold it once, place it beside him, then leave. Same way you came, down the ledge, through the alley, back into the rain. No one sees you, no one follows, but still you check. Every corner, every step. Back to your quarter, back to your street, back to your room. You close the door softly, bolt it, then sit. You remove your cloak, your boots, your blades. You clean them one by one. The blood comes off quickly. It always does when the cut is clean. You boil water, drop a handful of herbs into it, drink the bitter brew slowly. The warmth spreads from your throat to your chest. You sit in silence. Let the candle burn low. You unfold the final piece of cloth, the third name. You don't look at it. Not yet. You just hold it in your hand. Feel the weight of it. Not ink, not paper, just weight. And you know, this one will be different. You wake up before the sky has a colour. Just a gradient of dark shifting to less dark. You lie on the mat listening to the wind, to the soft rattle of shutters, to your own breath, and to the silence that follows a job too clean. You sit up slowly. You stretch your arms over your head and roll your shoulders. The right one cracks, the left doesn't. That's new. You light the candle stub beside your bed. It takes 3 tries to catch the flame. You lean toward the light and reach for the folded piece of cloth beside it, the one you've ignored for too long. The third name, the last name. You unfold it slowly. You're not in a rush. The ink is darker than it should be. Not smudged, not blurred, just heavy. You read the name once, then again, then a third time. Your eyes don't lie. You know the letters, you know the spacing, you know the shape of it, the slant, the curl at the top of the S. It's your name, written in someone else's hand. You don't move, you don't speak. You just sit there holding the cloth like it might catch fire. You fold it again, carefully, neatly. Place it back on the table, then exhale. One long thin breath through your nose. You close your eyes. Try to remember if this has happened before, if there was ever a list that didn't end with someone else. But no, this is new. You stand. Stretch your fingers, flex your legs. You walk to the basin and splash cold water on your face. The shock pulls your mind back into your body. You look at yourself in the reflection. Same eyes, same scar, same man, but now with an expiration date. You eat the last of the bread, wash it down with warm water that tastes slightly of smoke. Then you dress, not for stealth, not for running, just for readiness. Your oldest tunic, worn boots, blades in familiar places, but only 2. You tie your belt twice, slip the third name cloth into your pouch, then step outside. The city looks the same, but it's not. You're seeing it from the other side now, from the end of the list. You walk to the market, slowly. You nod at the fig vendor. She doesn't nod back. You pass the apothecary. He's sweeping dust out of the same crack in the stone he's been sweeping for years. You stop at the edge of the square and sit on your usual bench, the one with the missing board and the scratch marks you made the day you waited too long. You wait now, but not for work, not for coin. You're waiting for the why. Someone has to come. Someone always does. And sure enough, he arrives. Not who you expected. Not a client, not a rival. Just a man in a grey coat, clean boots, and a face that's been erased by years of not being noticed. He sits beside you. Doesn't look at you. Doesn't smile. Then after a long moment, he says, "You've done well." You don't answer. He reaches into his coat, pulls out a small coin. Gold. Real. He spins it once on the bench between you, then presses it down with one finger. 3 names, he says. You finished them. You nod. He taps the coin. You understand what the third means. You don't nod. But you don't deny it either. He leans back, crosses one leg over the other, then says, "The list wasn't about targets. It was about cleaning up. Loose ends, no witnesses." You stare ahead. "Why me?" He shrugs. "Because you're good. Because you wouldn't ask. Because you'd follow it to the end. You let that sit. Then say, 'So what now?'" He stands, leaves the coin on the bench. You have until tomorrow. That's longer than the others got. You don't look at him as he walks away. You just sit there, staring at the coin, watching how the light hits it. You wait until he's gone, really gone, out of sight, out of reach. Then you pick it up, feel its weight in your palm, heavy, warmer than it should be. You slide it into your pouch beside the folded cloth with your name on it. Then you walk, not fast, not slow, just steady. You take the long way back, through the alleys, through the side streets you memorized years ago, past every building you've used for shelter, past every corner where you once waited for a signal that never came. You pass the wall where your knife scar still shows. You pass the stairwell where you hid for 3 hours in the snow. You pass the shop that sells broken tools and knows more than it should. You reach your building, climb the stairs, open your door, sit down, and light the last candle. Then finally you look around, at the blades, the boots, the table with the cracked corner, the mat that still smells like old wool and memory. You boil water, pour it over a handful of dried herbs, let it steep, then drink. The bitterness reminds you you're still alive, for now. You sit on the floor with your back against the wall. Hold the gold coin in one hand, the folded name in the other. You don't know who sent the list. Not really. But it doesn't matter. They want you gone. And now the only question left is, do you let them? You don't leave your room all day. You don't sharpen your blades. You don't write anything down. You don't boil tea. You just sit. At first, on the mat. Then on the floor. Then against the wall, back straight legs pulled in like a soldier waiting for orders that will never come. You hold the folded cloth with your name on it. Sometimes in your lap. Sometimes in your hand. Sometimes pressed flat against your chest like a prayer. The gold coin rests beside it, still warm somehow, as if the choice you haven't made yet has already been made by someone else. You stare at it. Turn it over. Let it catch the light again and again. It shines like a favour you never asked for. By midday the candle is half gone. The wax pools near your elbow. You haven't moved in over an hour. You're not afraid. You passed fear 2 jobs ago. This is something else. Not panic, not regret. Just clarity. The kind that only comes when the circle finally closes. You drink a little water, dry, metallic. Enough. Then rise. Slowly. Deliberately. Your joints feel older than they are. You stretch your back. Run your thumb along your jaw. Rough. Unshaven. You don't bother fixing it. You don't bother with the floorboard today. No coin, no pouch. You won't need it. You tie one blade to your left forearm, a small one. No handle, just metal and leather and silence. You roll your sleeves over it, tight. Then you sit again. Let your thoughts flatten like pages of a book pressed closed too long. Your name, in ink, in someone else's hand. You try to imagine who wrote it, who passed it, who approved it, who decided this was your end. You imagine their shoes, their hands, their posture. You wonder what kind of person writes a name they won't live to see erased. The rain returns near dusk, light at first, then heavier. You light the second candle, watch it settle into its shape. You pull on your cloak, not your best one, not the old one, the one you keep for walking nowhere. You open the door, the alley is quiet. Your boots touch wet stone, soft, measured. You don't run, you walk, toward the part of the city no one brags about, past the dye vats, past the butcher's cart still stained from yesterday's spills. You sit beneath the overhang near the old mill, same bench as always, same missing slat in the wood. You lean your forearms on your knees and wait. You don't blink often, you don't breathe loudly, and then just as the candlelight in your mind begins to dim, he appears. Not a shadow, not a threat, a man. Same grey coat, same unreadable face. He sits beside you, not close, not far. Enough to speak without raising a voice. You don't look at him. He doesn't look at you. Then quietly, you understand now. You nod. He says nothing more. Neither do you. The silence lasts a long time, until the rain starts to lighten again. Then you ask, was it always going to end like this? He considers. Then it ends differently for everyone. But yes, you turn the coin in your pocket, let it press into your palm, then ask, what happens if I don't? He shrugs, then someone else does. You stare at the wall across from you, cracked stone, a vine climbing it slowly. You say, I don't want to die tonight. He nods, still not looking at you, then don't. But someone will try, yes. You exhale through your teeth, then ask, do I get to know who know? You finally turn to him. His face is calm. He could be a baker, a tailor, a monk. But you know better. He's a ledger, a walking list. You say, you could have let me walk away. He doesn't argue. He just says you wouldn't have. He's right. You wouldn't have. You were made for the list, built by it, sustained by it, and now it wants to consume you. You stand. The bench creaks. He stays seated, then says, there's still one thing you haven't done. You stop. Say nothing. He says you haven't decided. You turn slightly, enough to see his hands folded in his lap. Then you walk, back toward the alleys, back toward the shutter that never closes all the way. Past the door where the stray cat waits when it rains. You reach your room. You sit on the mat, pull out the blade, clean it with a cloth. One long motion. You lay it on the floor beside the coin, then the cloth with your name. You stare at both, the edge of your own ending, and the name that proves it's yours. You lie back, hands folded, eyes open, rain tapping the window like footsteps you haven't heard yet. And for the first time you whisper to yourself, what if I don't? And the silence doesn't answer. You wake before the first bell. But this time it isn't your own breath that wakes you. It's presence. Something in the room that doesn't belong. Not a noise, not a movement. Just air shifted the wrong way. You stay still, eyes open. One hand inches toward the blade you left beside your mat. It's cold. Colder than it should be. You grip it. Wait, listen. The window is still closed. The door still bolted. No footsteps, no creaks. Only silence that feels too intentional. You sit up slowly, scan the shadows. Nothing. But you've learned over the years that nothing is often the loudest warning. You stay low, move toward the window, check the latch, still locked. You breathe out once, then you turn back toward the mat and stop. The candle. You left it half burned. Now it's out. melted all the way down to the base, too far down. You would have noticed. You always notice. Which means someone's been here. You check the floorboard. Coins untouched. Pouch still tucked. But the folded cloth with your name is now damp, like it's been held, like it's been read. You stare at it for a long time, then fold it again, tighter this time, and slide it into your belt. You open the door with your blade drawn. Nothing. The hallway's empty. Dust motes float in the morning light, aimless and harmless. But you don't feel safe. You walk down the stairs, boots light, cloak tight, eyes scanning every corner. You step into the alley, pause, then crouch. There, footprints, faint, light, smaller than yours. They lead to the right, then vanish. You follow anyway, through the back lanes, past the divats, past the arch with the missing keystone. Nothing. No movement, no sound. You climb onto the rooftop near the old tannery. You watch the square. Still early. Vendors haven't opened, carts haven't rolled, but someone's there, on the far edge, leaning against a chimney. Watching you, you can't see their face, but you feel their eyes. And then just like that, they're gone. Not fast, just gone. You stay there, on the roof, still, until the city wakes. Then you descend. Not because you feel safe, because staying still too long makes you easier to aim at. You head back to your room, then think better of it. You don't go home. Not today. You double back, circle once, then again. Then find a bench near the broken fountain and sit. You let your shoulders relax, let your breathing slow, let your mind catch up. Someone was in your room, someone touched the name, someone wanted you to know. This isn't a hit, it's a message. You reach into your belt and pull out the folded cloth. Unwrap it. This time something's been added. A mark in charcoal near the edge. A symbol. 3 lines, 1 vertical, 2 diagonal. You've seen it before. Years ago. Once etched into a wall of a burned out house. Once on a contract that vanished before it was delivered. You never knew what it meant. Until now. It means they've chosen. You fold the cloth again. Slower this time. You get up. Head toward the place no one visits unless they have to the old well behind the Weaver's Quarter. It's dry now, filled with trash and forgotten names, but the stone rim still stands. You check beneath the second brick from the left. It's loose. You pull it free. Inside, just like you expected, is a note. No seal, just 1 word tonight. That's all. No time, no place. Just that. You slide the note into your boot, then walk. Back toward the city centre. You don't run, you don't hide, you just move like someone who knows the hourglass has flipped. You visit the tea vendor, buy nothing. But you nod at her. She nods back. You visit the man who sharpens razors near the bathhouse. Ask him nothing. He whistles, that's all. Then you walk the river path. Past the crumbling wall with the ivy. Past the merchant's house that burned 2 winters ago. You memorise every window, every blind corner, every possible exit. Because tonight is coming, and you don't know how it ends. You return to your room near dusk. This time you light 3 candles, 1 on the windowsill, 1 by the door, 1 beside your blade. You boil water, drop a dried root into the pot. It smells like sleep, but you won't be using it for that. You drink slowly, eyes never leaving the door. You place your blades within reach, lay the folded name in the centre of the mat, then sit, back straight, hands resting on your knees, and you wait. For them. For it. For the part of the story that was always waiting to catch up. You don't blink much. You don't move. The shadows grow. The wax drips. The street quiets. And somewhere out there someone is watching your window, but you don't flinch, because now you're watching back. You don't know how long you sit there. Candlelight flickering, blades within reach. The folded cloth with your name lying open in front of you. You've read it so many times by now that the letters have stopped meaning anything. But the meaning still lingers. They chose you. Not by mistake, not by chance. Deliberately. You watch the flame lean left, then right, as if caught in breathless hesitation. You listen. The street outside is too quiet, and quiet is never neutral. It's a signal. You pick up the blade, not because someone is coming through the door, because someone already has. You check your pack, still in the same corner, unmoved. You check the lock, untouched. But your instincts hum, the way they always do before things fall apart, and you trust them. You always have. You douse the candle. Let the dark settle in. Your eyes adjust quickly. You wait, still, listening. There, the softest sound. Cloth brushing stone. From the rooftop, no. From the window. You move before they do. Silent. Low. You press your back against the wall beside the window. Wait. Then the whisper of wood shifting. A boot brushing the frame. They're climbing in slow. Too slow. Maybe new. Maybe they think you're sleeping. They're wrong. You grab their wrist the moment they enter. Twist hard. They grunt. You pull. They tumble forward into the room onto the floor. You kick the window shut with your heel, loud enough to send a message to anyone still outside. You put your knee to their back, blade at the side of the neck. They stop moving. You whisper. How many? They don't answer. You press the blade harder. Still silence. Then they mutter, "Just me." You don't believe it. You reach down, pull a cord from their belt, bind their hands behind them. Tight. You drag them to the wall, tie them to the base of the shelf, then check the window again. Empty. The rooftops across the street flicker under moonlight. No movement. But that means nothing. You return to the figure on your floor. You pull back the hood. Young, maybe 20. Eyes wide but not panicked. He's not here to kill. He's here to observe. A test. A distraction. You crouch in front of him. Ask again, who sent you? He hesitates. Then quietly, I don't know his name. You sigh. Of course, too careful, too many layers. You ask, what did he tell you? Just to watch. Watch what? To see if you'd run. You don't respond. You sit back on your heels. He watches you, then adds, he said if you stayed, you might be worth saving. You blink, then chuckle. But it's not humour, it's recognition. This isn't punishment. It's assessment. You've been put on your own list, a different kind, a harder one. You stand, leave him tied. You gather your blades, 2 in the belt, 1 in your boot, 1 in your sleeve. Then you write a note, brief, clear, fold it, place it beside the boy. You don't know if they'll come back for him, but if they do, they'll know you made a choice. You open the window, climb out, onto the roof tiles. The night air is cold, smells like iron and rain. You move across the rooftop slowly, crouched, measured, like you used to. Like before the lists. You drop down into the alley beside the apothecary. No one follows. You keep walking toward the Western Quarter, where the contracts are written, where names become payments. You've never gone there on your own, never without invitation. Tonight you don't wait for one. You pass a patrol near the garden wall. They don't see you, or pretend not to. You cross the bridge over the dry canal, reach the 3rd house on the left. Tall, stone, quiet. You wait across the street, eyes on the 2nd floor window. The blue candle is burning. That's not a signal. That's a dare. You cross the street, pick the side gate, no alarm, no dogs, too confident. You scale the back wall, pull yourself onto the balcony. The window's unlocked. You step inside. No guards, no surprise. They knew you'd come. A room lined with books, curtains drawn, candlelight, a desk in the centre, and a man seated behind it. Older, not surprised, not armed. He looks up at you and says, I wasn't sure you'd come in person. You say nothing, just stand there, soaked in shadow. He gestures to the chair. You don't sit. He nods as if he expected that, then says, You're better than they said. You finally speak. You put my name on the list. He smiles, only to see what you do with it, and if I hadn't done anything, you'd be dead. You step closer, blade still in your hand. He watches it, doesn't flinch, then says, "You're not here to kill me." You raise an eyebrow. "You're here because you want off the list," he says, "and I'm the only one who can take you off it." You say, "Or I could just end the list." He smiles again, soft, patient. "You won't," he says. "You're too smart for that." And maybe he's right. Maybe that's why your hand doesn't move. Yet, you don't sit. Even when he gestures to the chair across from him, slow and deliberate, like it's part of some ritual he rehearsed days ago. You stay standing, boot still wet from the rooftop, shoulder still sore from the boy who tried to cut your breath short, blade still in your hand, half lowered, never relaxed. He sees it. He doesn't mention it. That tells you everything you need. This man knows killers, knows what they look like before they strike, and more importantly, what they look like when they don't. He folds his hands on the desk, old fingers, clean nails, a gold ring on his left hand, simple, heavy, meaningless. His cloak is pressed, unwrinkled, his boots polished. You wonder when he last walked through mud, or over blood. You stay silent. So does he. For a long moment it's just the candle between you, crackling faintly, flickering slightly, like it's afraid to draw attention. Finally he says, "You came alone." You nod, still don't sit. He tilts his head just enough to keep your face in full view. Then, "You didn't kill the courier?" Your answer is flat, "Wasn't the job." He smiles briefly, as if satisfied with the response, as if he'd written it himself. He leans back in the chair. That sound, the wood creaking under deliberate weight, echoes slightly. Then he says, "Let's talk about why your name appeared." You stare. No expression. Just silence. He gestures toward a black folder on the table. Unlabeled, unmarked, unmoved. You say, "I already know." He replies, "You know part of it." He opens the folder slowly. Inside a single sheet. You see the curve of your name across the top. Below it times, dates, notations. Then the mark, the symbol. 3 lines, 1 vertical, 2 diagonal. Your memory flashes back, stone walls, a burned door frame, a child whispering the symbol like a prayer. You look back at him, say, "So I was the test." He nods. "You were the most expensive one." You grip the blade tighter, but don't raise it. He notices. "Of course he does. That's why I didn't send someone better," he says. "I wanted to see how far you'd go." You take 1 step forward. He stays still. "You didn't think I'd come this far?" He shrugs. "I suspected, but I wasn't sure." And you don't gamble with precision weapons. You measure them. You say, and when they stop being predictable, he leans forward now, hands still folded. You either recalibrate, he pauses, or kill them. Silence again. Then he adds, "You recalibrated yourself." You say that wasn't your choice. He replies, "Neither was your survival." You finally sit, still holding the blade. But it rests now against your thigh. He watches that, doesn't comment. Then he says you were never the problem. You were the control. You ask, "So who's the experiment?" He tilts his head. "The one's coming next." You blink slowly. Then, "And I'm the template." He nods. You are what they model against. Your failure or success defines the margin of acceptable error. You smile, cold. You built the program. Now you're surprised it doesn't listen. He sighs, and in that exhale is something close to age, weariness, even regret. He opens a second drawer, pulls out a sealed envelope, slides it across the desk. You don't touch it. He says 3 sites. Each holds fragments of the registry. Burn all 3 and the system resets. You ask what happens if I only burn 2. He says then someone else finishes what you started. You ask him what happens to you. He shrugs. I vanish. The way people like me are trained to. You reach for the envelope. It's heavy, weighted. Not just with paper, but with consequence. You open it. 3 addresses. 2 you recognize, 1 you don't. Coordinates only. No names, no guards listed. You tuck the envelope into your belt, then rise. Blade still sheathed, not raised. He stands too. You look him over, and ask. What happens if I decide I want more than a reset, he replies. Then you become the person I was trying to build. You stare, and he finally says the thing he's been holding back. You're not the last name on the list. You say whose is, he answers. The list doesn't end. Then, but it starts again with you. You understand now. He doesn't want you erased. He wants you promoted, elevated, recruited. He wants the killer to become the designer. You step back, reach the door, say one last thing. You should have sent someone better. He smiles, but not smugly. Next time maybe you will. You close the door behind you. The hallway is silent. Outside the city hasn't changed. But you have. Because now you're not crossing names off a list. You're deciding whether the list should survive at all. You don't go home. There's nothing left there for you now. The moment your name appeared on the list, traced in ink by hands you never shook your room, your mat, your quiet kettle and corner floorboard stopped being yours. A name is a lock. And when the key isn't yours, every door becomes a cell, so instead you walk. No direction, no plan. Just the instinct to keep moving until you're somewhere that doesn't echo your past back at you. You walk east, past the baker's stall, the one with the burn marks on the awning. Past the woman who sells red thread in a street where nothing red belongs. Past the butcher who always whistles when you pass but doesn't this time. The city narrows, the lanterns fade. Here, buildings lean too close to one another like they're sharing gossip about things people no longer say aloud. You turn at the alley with the broken step, descend a stair that leads nowhere, then reach the door. No handle, no knocker, just wood, worn smooth waiting. You press your palm flat against it. Once, it opens, silently. You step inside. The room is cold, stone floor, one candle flickering in the corner, no furniture except a table made from old doors and a chair with one leg shorter than the others. And her, she's already there. You knew she would be. You haven't seen her in years. Not since the last name you both agreed to leave unwritten. She hasn't aged. Or maybe you just don't know how to see it anymore. She nods at you once, then gestures to the chair. You don't sit. Not yet. You take out the envelope, place it on the table between you. She studies it, doesn't touch it, then says, "You finally made it to the end." You nod. Then, or the beginning. She leans back, arms crossed. Same coat, same boots, same silence. You say he wants me to burn the archive. She says, "Then why haven't you?" You reply, because once it's gone, it's gone. Every name, every debt, every truth. She nods. Some truths don't deserve to be archived. You unwrap the envelope, slide the folded paper toward her. She glances at the 3 sets of coordinates, then back at you. "That's it," she asks. "No, there's more. There's always more. But that's the part they'll let me see." She studies you again, then says, "You're not here to ask me whether you should. You're here because you need someone who remembers what you were before they wrote you down." You say nothing, but she's right. She always was. You step back, start to pace. The floor creaks. She doesn't flinch. You say, "If I do this, I erase the system." But then what she says. Then you decide what gets written next. You shake your head. "I wasn't meant to be the writer." "No one is," she says. That's why those who hold a pen become so dangerous. You stop pacing. Turn to face her fully. Ask, "Did you ever get listed?" She pauses. Then yes. You inhale slowly, wait. She continues, "But I crossed it out myself. Quietly. No fire. Just absence." You nod. That sounds like her. You sit now. Finally. She reaches into her coat and pulls out something wrapped in cloth. She places it on the table. You unwrap it. A wax seal, jet black, unbroken, the mark of total erasure. You whisper, "I thought these were destroyed." She says, "They were. All but one." You understand the offer. You take the seal, turn it in your fingers. It's heavier than it looks. You say, "If I burn the sites, this becomes real. I'm not just gone from the list. I'm outside the ledger." She nods, then asks, "Do you want that?" You don't answer, because it's the only question you haven't rehearsed. You remember the boy. You remember the man with the folder. You remember the courier you didn't kill. You remember the silence that stretched between your name and the knife. You say, maybe I wanted someone to stop me. She says they tried. You're still standing. You smile, small, tired. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out a blank slip of paper, slides it across the table, says, this is what it looks like when no one is watching. You stare at it, unwritten, unlimited, then say, that's more terrifying than the list. She replies, exactly. The candle flickers, a draft moves through the room, you fold the seal into your palm, feel the edges press into your skin. Then you say, I'll burn the first one tomorrow. She doesn't react, just nods once, then says, don't burn it for revenge, burn it for air. You rise. The chair creaks behind you. You place the paper in your pocket, the seal in your pouch, and when you leave the door doesn't creak. The city is darker than before, but you are lighter. And for the first time in years, your steps don't echo like footsteps being followed. They sound like someone finally walking away. You leave before the sun decides whether to rise. There's something about walking in the moment between dark and dawn that makes the ground feel softer. Less committed, more forgiving. You don't take a weapon, just the envelope, just the knowledge, just the decision already made. The streets are empty, but not unfamiliar. You know the way without checking the paper again. Because your feet have learned to follow orders your mind hasn't spoken aloud. You move through the old southeast quarter, the one that still smells like mildew and forgotten schemes. A place made of bricks laid by people who never asked who they were working for. You pass a lantern swinging gently in the wind unlit. A window cracked open with no candle behind it. You don't stop. Eventually the buildings get lower, wider, heavier. You arrive. A structure built like it didn't want to be noticed. One door. No signs. No markings. Only a narrow metal panel embedded in the wall, cold to the touch. You place your palm against it. Wait. A green light flickers. Then the latch releases. You step inside. Close the door behind you. No alarms. No ceremony. Just silence. You descend a narrow staircase, stone steps, steep, slightly damp. Each one a little more separate from the surface. At the bottom a corridor. Cool. Clean. Well lit, but not brightly. No guards. No voices. Just the hum of a place that remembers too much. On the wall to your left shelves, drawers, each identical, labelled in codes that don't mean anything to most people, but you know yours. You find it fast. K4, C7. You pause before touching it. Not out of fear, out of acknowledgement. This is the drawer that has followed you longer than your own shadow. You slide it open. Inside a single glass cylinder capped in brushed steel. There's no light inside, but it hums, like it's breathing. You lift it gently, hold it in both hands, there's weight to it. Physical, yes, but more than that. Like it remembers, like it knows. You carry it to the far end of the room. There's a hatch in the wall, matte black, built into the stone. You open it. Inside heat, not flame, not noise, just heat. Enough to undo things, enough to erase. You place the cylinder inside, rest it gently against the steel tray. You stare at it for a while, then close the hatch. There's a soft click, then a low sustained hum. No sparks, no smoke, but you know it's burning. You know it's ending. You lean against the wall, let your shoulders relax. Not in relief, just release. Like something has been unhooked from your ribs. You stand there until the hum stops. Then you open the hatch again, empty, not even ash, nothing left to name. You turn back to the drawer, slide it shut. There's no protocol for this, no witness. Just you and the space where your record used to be. You step back toward the center of the room, and then a sound. Soft, unfamiliar, like paper moving where no paper should be. You turn. A small drawer 2 slots above yours is open just an inch. You didn't open it, you're sure. You walk to it, check the label. K4C8, the number that comes next. You reach out, pull it open slowly. Inside another cylinder. This one doesn't hum, it pulses, like a heartbeat. You don't touch it, you just stand there watching. Then notice something else. A slip of paper, folded, placed just beneath the cylinder. You pick it up, unfold it. One sentence. The next name was watching you. No signature, no code, just that. You stare at the words, then refold the slip, slide it into your pocket. You push the drawer closed, not harshly, but firmly. It clicks into place. You turn back toward the stair. Begin walking up. Each step feels different now. Not lighter, just clearer. At the top, the door opens before you reach it, as if it knew. You step into the morning that hasn't arrived yet. The air is colder. The city still sleeps. You walk away without looking back. The street is quiet, but not like before. It's quiet like a book that's been closed, like something that no longer needs to be said. You don't feel erased, you feel rewritten, and that for now is enough. You don't dream that night. Not because you're too tired to dream, because some part of you has already started forgetting what it's like to be someone who sleeps without planning their own disappearance. You wake early, wash your hands even though they're not dirty, sharpen your blade even though you don't intend to use it. You sit on the edge of a broken chair for exactly 4 minutes, then you stand. Because stillness is useful until it becomes indulgent. You reach into your coat, take out the envelope again, unfold it. The second coordinate hasn't moved, but it feels closer now, like it's already waiting for you. You walk north, not far. 2 districts across, 1 bridge, 1 checkpoint, 2 glances from guards who decide for their own reasons not to stop you. You reach a building disguised as function. Brick, unlabelled, attached to a courier depot with just enough dust to be overlooked. You circle it once. No cameras, no posted entry. But the western wall hums, faintly. You press your hand to the bricks, cold, but responsive. A seam opens. You slide through, inside old infrastructure. Corridors meant for boxes and crates. Everything smells like rust and late paperwork. You find the stairs behind a crate marked "Do Not Ship." They lead down, stone again, but newer. Smoothed deliberately like someone wanted to hide how recently it was carved. At the bottom, another corridor, lit by strips of pale yellow light recessed into the ceiling. It leads to a single steel door. You don't knock. You already know it knows you're coming. You place your palm to the sensor. It scans you without permission, then unlocks. The room is rectangular. No chairs, no consoles, just drawers, each marked with a code you recognize too well now. You walk straight to it. K4 C7 node. Be a twin of the one you destroyed before. You don't open it yet. You check the room. Corners, vents, wall seams. No one here, but still there's that feeling. The one that says someone else has already done this walk. You pull the drawer, lift the core, still warm, still linked, still pulsing with the version of you that others tried to freeze in place. You carry it to the far end of the room. The disposal hatch is smaller here, older. The panel beside it flashes once, then stabilizes. You open the hatch, set the core inside. It fits too perfectly, like it's been waiting to leave. You pause, not long, just long enough to breathe. Then you press the switch. A burst of light, soft, contained, then gone. When you open the hatch again, there's nothing left but heat and a faint crackle of cooling metal. No ash, no smoke, no record. You turn back toward the drawer, but stop, because it's not the only one now. The drawer next to it, K4C8, is half open. No one touched it. Not you, not tonight. But something shifted. You close it gently, without looking inside, because you already know the next version is in there, and tonight is not its night. You start toward the door, then see it a note, folded, placed beneath the console beside the exit, unmarked. You pick it up. One line. Familiar ink. Same hand as before. We only erase what we fear. You fold it. Put it in your coat. No pocket. Just pressed flat against your ribs, so you don't forget. The room seals behind you as you leave. No alarm, no sound, just absence. You climb the stairs, reach the outer corridor. It's still empty, but the light feels warmer. Somehow. You exit into the early morning. Fog hugging the corners of buildings like it too is trying to remember who it used to be. You walk back toward the river. Not for safety, not for reflection, just to feel water move past something and not stop. You sit on a bench that hasn't been used in years. Pull out the first note again. The next name was watching you. You place it beside the second. Let them rest together. Then tear them both in half. Then in half again. Then drop the pieces into the river. They float. Then sink. No resistance. And as they disappear, so does a part of you. Not the useful part, not the sharp part. Just the part that believed silence alone could keep you clean. You leave the second sight as the sun begins to rise behind a sheet of low white cloud. The light doesn't break through. It just presses. You walk without direction for a while. Not wandering, not hiding. Just flattening the rhythm of your steps. Making yourself into something that doesn't need to be looked at. You pass a bakery, closed, a fountain, dry, a woman hanging linens she probably didn't wash. Eventually the streets get narrower, the building's older. You reach the place without checking the paper. You already know. It's the third coordinate, the last one. You're not surprised it's here in what used to be a records hall, abandoned before most people alive now were born. Or so they believe. The outer structure is intact, but the roof is sunken in. One wall is split roots pressing through the crack. You enter through the back, through a window with no glass, just ivy. The inside is full of silence, not emptiness. Silence. You know the difference now. You walk across a floor still littered with page corners and the smell of wet paper. You find the stairs behind a collapsed bookshelf. Stone steps lead down. Each one slightly rounded at the edges as if worn by people who walked them while knowing their names were still intact. At the bottom, a room. Dry. Cold. Lit only by a single flickering filament set into the ceiling like it's trying not to be seen. In the centre of the room is a pedestal. Not ornate, not hidden, just there. And on it the final core. Labelled in soft etching K4C C7 Master Record, Core Alpha. You step forward. You pick it up. It's lighter than the others. Not because it holds less, because it has accepted what it is. The casing hums, like a memory sighing in its sleep. You walk to the far wall. There's a hatch. It doesn't match the room. Newer, reinforced, but dusted over. Like someone wanted you to find it eventually. You place the core inside, close the hatch, pause, because something shifts behind you. You say, "You waited until the end," a voice replies. Even, female, familiar. "I waited until you were certain." You turn. She's standing at the far side of the room, dark coat, hands in pockets. The same woman from before, no weapon, no fear, just watching. You say, "Why didn't you stop me?" She shrugs, says it needed to be your hand, or it doesn't work. You ask what happens when it's gone. She says, "Then the network forgets how to remember you." You nod, press the ignition switch. The hatch hums, then hisses, then silence. You step back, wait until the light on the panel turns from red to grey. It's done, all three. You look at her. Say that's it. It's finished. She doesn't nod, doesn't smile, just says no. It's emptied. You ask, "What does that mean?" She steps closer, only slightly, then says you erased yourself, but something always takes the empty seat. You ask you. She shakes her head. "I was never in the chair." Then softly, "But you could be." You don't answer. You step toward her. Ask why me. She says, because you understand the system, and you hated it anyway. You breathe in, say I didn't survive it to become it. She nods, I didn't either. You walk past her, climb the steps, slowly. She follows, not close, not pressing, just enough to suggest that a decision waits but won't chase. At the top, you step into air that smells like wet wood and thunder. You pause at the doorway, ask if I don't take the chair what happens. She says, someone else does. You say, and if I do, she replies, then you decide how names are written. You say I never wanted to write names. She says, but you already know how. You close your eyes, then step outside. She stays behind. You don't look back. The street is empty, and for once it stays that way. You don't go far. Just enough to leave the building behind. You stop beneath a broken archway half swallowed by moss. It's quiet here. No footsteps, no market calls, no pigeons shaking dust from forgotten cornices, just stillness. The kind that no longer feels ominous. You sit on the stone ledge, rest your hands on your knees, look out at a city that no longer knows your name. It doesn't feel like freedom. Not yet. But it doesn't feel like fear either. That's something. You close your eyes, listen to the creak of shutters swinging somewhere in the wind, the mutter of an old man arguing with a broom, someone dragging a cart full of nothing. The world continues, unaware, unaffected, because names come and go, and systems fall, and memory rots even when written in steel. What you've done isn't justice, it's correction. A quiet one. The kind no one thanks you for. You feel the slip of paper in your coat creased now, worn soft at the edges. You don't take it out. You already know what it says, and more importantly, you know what it doesn't. There's no signature, no date, no orders, only a whisper handed to you through static. We only erase what we fear. You breathe out slowly. Let your spine rest against the wall. Let your legs extend. Let the city forget you without resistance. You could vanish here. You could walk away. You could start something new. You could write a name, just one, and wait. Or you could write none. Let the silence last longer than the system ever did. Let absence be the legacy. Let no one inherit the pen. You listen to your breath, even, quiet, present. You're no longer hunted. You're no longer archived. You're the space between what was written and what never needs to be. End of story. Sweet dreams.